Welcome to Open Your Reality, everyone. This is going to be a fascinating interview. We have one of the top flat earth researchers and truth seekers on the internet and in the world. I don't know if it's round, it may be flat, with David Weiss. Welcome to the show, David.
Hey, Chad, thanks for having me. And I would say I'm the most outspoken. There's many great researchers out there, but I'm just the one with the biggest mouth that's going on, speaking the most. And yes, the world could be round and flat at the same time because my table is round, a pizza is round, coins are round, lakes can be round. We live in a lake, and it's round.
I wanted to get to that. I mean, I have so many questions, but I guess I came across flat Earth around the year 2012. Are you familiar with D. Murphy 25?
Oh yeah, good friend.
Okay, so he talked about water curving, and that kind of got to me because water is always level, and on a globe Earth, water would have to be curving, I guess. I mean, can you explain that?
Yeah, so the globe zealot would go, yeah, well, look at a wave, look at a water drop. Well, that's not a large body of water at rest. All large bodies of water at rest lay flat. That's science. That's testable, provable, measurable. They lay flat. We've done laser tests, microwave tests over frozen lakes, for great distances, and there is no curvature. The Earth is 70% water, and large bodies of water at rest lay flat. So how many flat sections of water does it take to make a sphere? And that's a ridiculous question. Also, if you look up the abyssal plain, most of the bottom of the ocean is perfectly flat. Right? There's submarines that sit on the bottom of the ocean. They can send sonar out, hit another submarine over 100 miles away. Sonar, when it hits something solid, it bounces back. Okay? It doesn't jump over it. 100 miles away, there should be a mountain over a mile high between those two submarines. They can see each other with sonar. How do you explain that?
I don't know, but also, I mean, wasn't there something where they've taken lasers on frozen lakes of ice and they just shine them through and they could see there was no curvature over like several miles? I don't know.
Yeah, we put together an organization called FE Core, Field Engineers Research. I forget what the core stands for, but they went to Lake Balaton somewhere in their north, and they did a laser test over several distances, and there is no curvature. People, we're brainwashed to think, well, the Earth is so big you can't see the curvature, but we're also brainwashed to think that you see boats go over the curvature. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But if you do the actual math of a curved ball that's 24,901 miles round, there's something most ball earthers don't even know. That's the circumference of the Earth. There is a formula. So when I first started hearing about flat Earth, I was like, you guys are idiots. I banned people from our social media, from my other podcasts, for even suggesting that I look into flat Earth. It's the dumbest thing ever. We all know. They've known for 2,000 years. The Greeks figured it out, and that's also a lie. And so I said, okay, these long distance observations are interesting. So I went out, spent $1,000 on a super zoom camera because our super zoom consumer optics have outgrown their lies. And I said, okay, what's the curvature? I have a buoy off of where I live that's 11 miles away. I said, all right, round down. I'm going to give the globe every advantage. What's the curvature at 10 miles? And the ball curvature formula at 10 miles is 66 feet. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of curvature. Well, this buoy is only 10 feet high. So then I looked at some, globe troll channels, I call them, and they're saying, oh, no, it's not 66 feet because the buoy's at the top of the ball and you're halfway down the ball on the other side, right? Or the buoy's, you're halfway down and the buoy's halfway down. And so the hump is only half of that height. That's ridiculous. That's wrong, but I'll give it to them. 33 feet of curvature. Sat down at the beach early in the morning, got that super zoom camera, zoomed out. Not only could I see the entire buoy, I can see the surface of the water for, I can't tell how far beyond it, like dozens of miles, where there should be hundreds of feet of curvature. That right there told me there's a problem. Either we live on a hexagon, with flat surfaces, but I've never seen, a point where the curvature changes. So there is no curvature, and without any curvature, you can't have a ball.
Right. Yeah, I know that formula, and it slopes off exponentially when you go in the distance, where a couple of miles you're not going to really see much, but once you go 20 miles, 50 miles, it really starts. But
100 miles is 6,600 feet of curvature. That's over a mile at 100 miles.
I know. And that to me is one of the things that made me take a hard look at the flat Earth theory. because I'm still not totally sold on it, but I want to know the truth. I just want to know the truth. And that's why I have you on, because I want to ask you some questions, because I've seen a lot of videos on flat Earth, but I don't know everything. I admit that.
Chad, there's one thing I know for certain. All flat earthers know this for certain. We don't know everything. There's a ton that we don't know, but at least we know that we don't know, because the globe earthers, the ones that say flat Earth is ridiculous, we ask them some simple questions like, hey, okay, you think the Earth is a ball? How many times does it rotate in a day? Most of them don't even know. That's the simplest question. It's once, right? Then we say, what's the diameter? What's the circumference? What's the orbiting speed? Can't guess any of that. How far away is the sun? They have no idea. How big is the sun? They have no idea. How big is the sun compared to the moon? They have no idea, but they think we're crazy because we have an idea. We know their model and we're figuring out our model. Okay. So, flat Earth researchers aren't just researching flat Earth. We're researching the ridiculous globe. And as we go through, and anyone that hangs in and listens to this, by the end of this, you're going to go, how the heck did I ever believe in a spinning ball? Here's the question. Is the Earth flat or is it something else? I don't know. It appears flat, right? Is the Earth a spinning ball in a space vacuum? That's impossible. That's physically, theoretically, everything. It's just impossible on every level.
Okay, before I ask you why it's impossible, I don't want to go too far into the details. I wanted to kind of go a little bit more general in the beginning, and we jump right into some curvature science, or not science. But I wanted to ask you. There's this firmament that covers the flat Earth model, right? Can you maybe show us like the basics of I know you use a lot of visuals in your presentations. Okay, there we are. Okay, so it looks like you have the firmament over the Earth in this model.
So here's the thing. We can talk about all things that we can test and measure here within where we live. And then we can also talk about things beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, which is off limits to everybody. We'll talk about that. We can talk about what's above, higher than we can go. We can only get a balloon up to 120,000 feet. I don't think NASA or any of the other space agencies, where they're all fake, get stuff up much higher than that. Maybe double that distance, but I doubt it. Honestly, I do doubt it. So there's lots of evidence that there is a dome. A lot of flat earthers believe there's a dome because you can't have high pressure next to a vacuum or no pressure without a physical barrier. But that's not the reason, because we don't believe that space exists in the way they tell us, that it's an infinite vacuum. I believe what's above us is water, which is also below us. All right. So
and the Bible says that, right?
The Bible does say that. And before I became a flat earther, I was Bible. If you mention the Bible, I just discounted everything you've ever said in your entire life. Okay. I was anti-religion. I was pro astronomy is the real science, and astrology is pseudoscience. The opposite is true. I guess you can call me an atheist. I never labeled myself that, but I didn't believe that there was a creator. But now, once you understand that the Earth is intelligently designed, you have no other choice but to acknowledge there's a creator. And that's where I draw the line. Everything beyond that is your own journey. Who the creator is to you, where the creator came from, why the creator's here, why we're here, all of that stuff. That's a personal journey. And I don't go there with other people. So I let everyone take that themselves. But there is this place that we live has been created. Some people go, well, it's created by aliens. Well, show me evidence of aliens. Okay.
Okay, what I want to ask you most is, let's talk about the size of the sun and the moon in the flat Earth model. So I heard D. Murphy say that the sun and the moon are about the same size, and they're about 32 miles in diameter, if I remember correctly.
Miles high. So here's the issue with that. And I don't say that he's wrong, but sizing and scaling, you can have, if you can't know the distance or size of something, you can make it any distance you want. You can just redo the math. You can make the sun 15 miles wide and 1,500 miles away, and it would look exactly the way we see it. Okay. You can make it twice the distance and twice the size. So again, scaling, the math works for what he said. But what Dave was referring to was, when people say, well, the Greeks figured it out 2,000 years ago with Aristophanes and his sticks and shadows experiment. You familiar with that?
I was just putting stick and seeing where the sun is going overhead and measuring the shadow.
Yeah, so this was drilled into us by Carl Sagan when in the series Cosmos, where everybody, they said that the Greeks figured out, the Aristophanes once in Said, Greece, he noticed on a certain day of the year, the sun was directly over a well because you could see the reflection in the well. So he did an experiment where he put a stick up and it had no shadow because the sun rays come in parallel because the sun is so far. And the funny thing about that is why would anyone think that sun rays come in parallel when no one's ever seen sun rays come in parallel? They all come in crepuscular.
Isn't that refraction or?
So that's what they say, but it makes no sense. But even if it was, they're still not coming in parallel. If it's being refracted, it's being refracted. If it's coming in, if they're coming like that because it's close and local, like it appears, either way, why would they ever assume they're coming in straight? But he assumed they're coming in straight. So
wait, did experiment. If it was refraction, they'd all. Can you put that back up for 1 second?
Which one? The
last one you just had of the sun rays.
Yeah.
So if it was refraction, wouldn't they all be going in one direction? Maybe not.
Well, they say that refraction over the curved atmosphere, so the light comes in and then it would refract. So if their fantasy story was real, sure, it would look like this. But we're going to show you that the sun is small and local. The question is, how far away is it? So real quick, finishing Aristophanes' experiment, he put his stick up here, no shadow. He sent his buddy 500 miles away. His buddy put a vertical stick up and it had a shadow. And Carl Sagan had 2 posts on a flat board, and he goes, and he had it outside, and neither of them had a shadow because on that scale, you do have a distant sun. He goes, the only way it works is if you bend the board and the curvature. So they did some perfectly good math and figured out the sphericity of this ball. And Carl says, and he got it within 2% of the known size of the Earth. Well, what's the radius of the Earth? How did you figure out the radius of the Earth? They're still using his measurement as the known radius, but they're saying it's within 2%. It's all nonsense. And the problem is, on a flat Earth, the sun is small, it's close, it's over Said, his buddy's over here, the sun's traveling throughout the day, and his buddy gets angles here. You can do the same exact math and figure out the sphericity of this flat plane. We don't live in a math equation, okay? You have to have all your variables correct. Like if I said, hey, you have $1 million and I'm going to double it every day for 5 days. Well, at the end of 5 days, you're super rich. But the problem is you didn't have $1 million when I started. So it's just math, right? It works perfectly on a flat Earth. So then, we throw stuff out there all the time. And the scientism community, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, the Line guy, they come out and they do videos trying to move the globe post, we call it, where they're saying, you know what, the flat earthers have a good point. He goes, but if you add a third stick or a third well, it doesn't work. Well, guess what? It does work. He just says it doesn't work. Everyone believes it. And here we are.
Okay. So you said that it seems to me that flat earthers don't agree on the size of the sun and the moon. Is that correct? Or do you know?
Well, not many people. I don't think many people claim they know the size of the sun of the Earth. I think what Dave was saying, and if he could rephrase it, he would be saying it would work perfectly with a 30-mile sun at 3,000 miles away. It would. It would also work with a 15-mile sun 1,500 miles away, or cut that in half.
Right. I mean, you could see how globe earthers could be a little bit skeptical because you're not really sure. But I understand that there are things on if the Earth is really flat, there's things that we just wouldn't know, and I understand that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, globe earthers, well, you don't know. Well, how did they figure out the sun was 93 million miles away? They don't know, right? The only story that they have is that Venus, which is about the same size as the Earth, transited the sun. Somebody on the East Coast and West Coast watched it. They started and stopped at different times from their observations. They did some perfectly good math, and they figured out the sun is 93 million miles away. However, who the heck said Venus is the same size of Earth? I say Venus is the size of a friggin' beach ball. Okay. And nobody knows. And I don't even think Venus is a physical thing. We'll get into that. But they're just making up stuff. All of their stuff is unverifiable. All of our stuff that we talk about that's within our realm is verifiable. Go out and measure it yourself. You'll see.
And what about the distance? Because you talked about 3,000, the sun and moon being 3,000 miles away. To me, here in Florida, it feels like the sun is right on top of me. I literally feel like if there is a firmament that is, how tall is the firmament at the peak? Like, what is it? Like, how many miles up?
Again, I don't know. Maybe it's 300,000 feet. Maybe it's higher. I don't know. I don't think any human can get any physical thing up much higher than maybe 150,000 feet, 200,000 feet. I don't think anything has been up that high.
Okay.
And
well, to me, it feels like the sun is right there because it is very hot.
Yeah. Let me quickly share my app because it shows you some things, and we could quickly talk about seasons while I have it open. But right now, if you watch, the sun is over that inner yellow line, which is the tropic of, why isn't that moving?
Yeah, I just wanted to also ask you, because I know a lot of people ask this question.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of people are confused about the flat Earth model because they haven't studied it. So it seems so ridiculous. But a lot of people ask the question, so I'm just going to ask it. If we do live on a flat Earth and there is a sun above the flat Earth, why is it that some portion of the Earth does not see the sun?
Right, we can get into that perfectly. So let me quickly show you how this works, and then I'll show you why you can't see it. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So all right, now you can see the clock moving. Look at the sun right now. It's over the inner yellow line, which is the Tropic of Cancer. Look, it's going right over Miami. It's right over you. That's why you're in the heat of your summer right now, and it's brutally hot because the sun is close and over you. But look at Australia. They're out over the Tropic of Capricorn, which is the outer yellow line. So they're having their winter because the sun is farther away from them. 6 months later, the sun migrates all the way out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and they have their summer. The sun is over them, and it's farther away from you. When it comes around, here's Miami. The sun's going to be all the way over here in December. That's why it's kind of chilly in December. You know, it's not super hot, but you're still close enough. I'm up here in Connecticut, and it's colder because I'm farther away from the sun. Again, the sun is small and close. Like if you and I were sitting outside, in let's say we're in Vermont in the middle of the winter, okay, and we're 15 feet apart, and somebody's holding a super big, nice heat lamp 10 feet over your head. You're going to be like, it's warm. And that's going to be right over your head. It's going to be high in your sky. But I'm going to be over here, and I'm going to be looking at the heat lamp, and it's lower in my sky, and it's farther away. I can barely feel the heat from it. I'm freezing. Then the heat lamp moves over. Now it's high in my sky. I'm having my summer, and you're out there. It's lower in your sky. That's how the seasons work. Seasons make zero sense on a ball.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I can get that model that you're presenting. I know a lot of people would have a problem with it. But by the way, is there something that you want to? I have another question, but is there something that you wanted to talk about off this?
No, we'll get back to that. I'm not here. The app is the best way to learn about Flat Earth. If you try to Google, people go, well, I should research Flat Earth. I Googled it, and you end up with the Flat Earth Society. You end up with nonsense. There's so much garbage out there to just confuse your mind to make you give up. The Flat Earth Society is not who we are. The Flat Earth Society is a government-run disinformation site that Obama plugged a half a dozen times in his presidential speech. If you Google Flat Earth, you'll get this. This is like we're not a pancake floating in space, or with a bunch of heliocentric balls. We're not even pancake floating with a whole bunch of pancakes. That's not what the flat Earth is, right? And so if you try to search flat Earth, you will not find anything. Real quick, I used to do this at the beginning. What is the flat Earth? It's a pond on a extended Earth plane. The Earth plane is the basement of the universe. We're a pond within it. All of the continents, all of the islands are surrounded by water, but all of the water needs a container, and that is the highest land on Earth, which is Antarctica. Nobody tells you that. Antarctica is the shoreline of our world. What's out here? We don't know. We're not allowed to go there. There could be other worlds out here. Here's an old Japanese map. Okay, what the heck is going on with that? What are all those other continents beyond Antarctica? Okay.
Yeah, I know Admiral Byrd talked about that back in the 50s, that he was sent to explore Antarctic. And he said that there was a continent that was just as large, if not larger than the United States, and a lot of natural resources. And that was like it. You never heard anything more than that.
Yeah, maybe he flew out here, maybe he found an opening and went out here, found out these other lands in the outer space, the extra territory where extraterrestrials would come from in the outer space of our world. We'll get into that, but let me answer your question about why is it dark? Why is it dark In some places, if the sun is above the earth, you'd be able to see it the whole time. And the answer is the sun just goes away. Now here it looks like the sun is about to set below the horizon. But if we zoom in on this, first look at the line on the water. You can't do that on a curved surface. That only works on a flat surface. If you zoom in, you'll see the sun is still well above the horizon. It just moves and gets pushed into perspective. We see in perspective. Mm-hmm. So if I show you, here's a sun moving away, and I inserted these clouds over your head. As they go farther away, 20, 30, 40 miles away, they merge with the horizon. That becomes your horizon, and it literally things just go beyond it. And it looks like it's going below it. It's just going beyond it. Like if this is a horizon and here's the sun, as it moves away, it looks like it's setting, but it's not. It's just going away. Look at, there's certain places.
I've seen the footage.
Good.
No, I mean, I've seen the footage with the boats, right? We take a high-powered camera or telescope.
Sure.
You look at a boat, and it looks like the boat is going over the horizon. That's what we're always taught. But when you zoom in, you could actually see. There you go. This one.
Yeah. So
you can't see anything. And
you can't see anything. It's called, and this is something they don't teach you in school. It's called the angular resolution limits of your eyes. That's not the only reason that this boat disappears. But the bottom of the boat has the lowest angle. The top of the boat has a bigger angle. So as we zoom out, the boat's going to disappear from the bottom up. Due to angular resolution limit, and also these waves in the foreground create an artificial horizon in the background. Okay, this isn't the right. So Glober would say that went over the horizon. It didn't. It's just too far for your eyes to resolve. But as I said earlier, our optics have outgrown their lies.
I just want to say I had a female friend some years ago we were very good friends. We had gone out, we broke up, but we remained really good friends. And she's very smart. She's like, has an IQ of like 125, 130. And I tried to explain this concept, right? We're talking about boats going over the horizon. And we literally stopped talking because I tried to explain that if you zoom in, you could still see the boat. And I have not talked to her.
So here's the thing. And it's really difficult for women. And that's not a sexist thing. It's just women are homemakers, right? And it's not sexist. Men are homemakers too. But but we all try to build a reality around us where we can live and be happy and safe. Right. But, if you're afraid of everything that's outside, you're never going to go outside. Right. So you say, oh, yeah, I'm safe here. The worst thing that's out there is someone's dog might attack me, but I'm good. Right. So we build this foundation of our world, and that world is built over the foundation of a globe. Before you can talk, you're introduced to the globe. All children's programming, all adult programming. It's all globe programming. School, globe in the front of the class. One of the first worksheets kids bring home is the orbits of the suns, moons, and planets. Okay. This is the foundation of your life. Every movie you're seeing, spinning globes, global news, globe. Once you start seeing it, just anytime you watch any TV, which you should never watch, there's globes everywhere. So this is programming. And then when you try to rip that rug out from some people are like, oh, whoa. Their subconscious is like, this is going to be too painful to admit my entire life is a lie. I'm not ready for this. And they'll literally shut you down. You can show some people any amount of evidence and they won't see it. But that's okay. That's their journey.
Yeah. I mean, I have so many questions, but let me just get back to one thing with the sun. We talked about the firmament. Is the sun like behind? You said that there's waters on top of the firmament. Is the sun in the waters? Is it in the firmament? Like, how does that work?
That's a great question. So when if you take a magnifying glass and focus it, like you burn things with it, look at that little dot. It kind of looks just like a sun. Perhaps the sun is above the firmament, above the waters, or within the waters. Not sure. And the dome is the magnifying glass, and it's magnifying to a point in the air. And that's where the thing that we call the sun is there. I don't believe that the sun is a physical thing, and everybody sees it in a different position relative to their own. We have tons of videos showing you how that's such a thing. When I first heard that, I'm like, wait a minute, that's crazy. But if you and I were standing outside 50 feet apart, and we had a giant mirror in front of us, and we're looking at the mirror, the sun is setting behind us. And I would look at the mirror, send a third person over to the mirror, and I see the sun right there, and they take a Sharpie and they draw a perfect circle around the sun. I'm like, yep, the sun's right in that circle. They'd walk over to you, and you would see that sun 50 yards away from my sun, or 50 feet, however distance. She would draw a different circle there. So we're both looking at the same thing in two different positions. And I believe that's how the optics of the sky work. But again, stop looking at the sky to figure out the shape of the floor. Don't look at the lights in your ceiling and say, oh, my ceiling lights are round, therefore my floor is round. That's a ridiculous argument.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where people might have a problem because the flat Earth model really can't describe, where is the sun, how big is it,
Well,
how far is it,
neither
what's
can the
going
globe
on,
model.
because
The globe model is absolutely nonsense when it comes to that, and we can go into all of that. But here's a spot. This is in Aluja, France, and we look out over the water. And out here is Mount Canigou, but it's 175 miles away. And according to the globe math from this altitude, the top of Mount Canigou should be over a mile below the curvature. So you can't see it because here's the horizon if you're a globe believer, and the top of Mount Canigou is down here somewhere. But there's a couple days a year when the sun is in its migratory path between the two tropics that it lines up with this viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And when it does, it backlights Mount Canigou. The light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou can't push through the soup and make it to your eyes because it's too far and the air is too thick. But when the sun is a more powerful light, it goes beyond it. All of a sudden, you can see it. Here's the top of Mount Canigou. It should be over a mile below the curvature, but it's there, right? And so the sun is clearly just going away and it's backlighting it. Look, it looks like it's going down. It's just going away. And we have tons of videos that will show people go, well, when I see the sun, it looks like it's going down, Well, that's all due to perspective. So here is I'm looking for a video that a soldier took in Afghanistan, and the sun, this is super sped up. It's clearly not going down. It's just going away. And as Paul McCartney says, the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. Okay?
And also when the sun goes down, it also is supposed to get smaller too, because it's all perspective.
Well, so on a globe, you say, no, it would be the same. But on a flat Earth, wait, it should get smaller. Well, it's clearly getting smaller. But the way we see the sun, we don't see the sun thousands of miles away. We see the sun, I think, less than 100 miles away. That's where we see it. That's where we perceive the sun in this physical simulation that we live in. And and so when I watch the sun rise on the water, I could, God, it looks like it's right near Montauk. That's like 65 miles away. And so if that was true, it would set 65 miles on the other side of me. And that makes a lot of sense for what we see, but that sounds insane. Well, that doesn't work because everyone sees it, but we see the world.
When the sun's low on the horizon and the moon, sometimes it looks so big. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a total illusion. When you see a giant moon on the horizon, it's the same size as the moon above your head. And you're like, no friggin' way. Here's a little thing you can do. When the moon's on the horizon, when you take a picture of the moon, it's like, oh, that's not so, it looks tiny in the picture, but you see it big. It's how your brain processes information. And when this sounds crazy. Next time you see a big full moon on the horizon, turn your back to the moon, separate your legs, bend over and look through your legs upside down at the moon, and it will be tiny. What?
Really?
That's how your brain works. So, and I'll show you a quick example of that. I'm going to show you 2 tables and tell me, are they the same size and dimension?
Now, I've seen you do this, and I'm going to say, I know they are, but they do not look the same size at all.
Right.
The same size.
It's the same size, but you can't reconcile that. No matter how many times you watch it, this looks long and narrow. You can't reconcile it. It's how our brains see things.
Yeah.
So let me show you. I don't know if you saw the video, My Flat Earth Kitchen.
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is a good one to show you how perspective works, how the sun sets. So here's my flat Earth kitchen. My kitchen counter is flat. It's the Earth. This line is the path that the sun takes, and we're watching it from a celestial point of view, basically the same height as the sun. So as the sun moves across this line, it's moving straight. Here are mountains, or we'll call this the atmospheric deck of opacity, just where the clouds become opaque. And you see that the sun never goes below it. Now, this next view is from the view on the table on the Earth looking up, and it looks like this line is going down. If I showed you this first, I said, is this line level or going down? You would say it's going down, right? But it's a level line. And look, the sun set below that. Right? Look at this line. It almost looks like it's going straight down. It's level. And the sun is setting below that. And because this is in the distance, it looks like it's at eye level. Now I'm going to compare it to a real sunset. Here I am. My sun's going straight and level. This is the sunset going away. And here is the atmospheric deck of opacity. Not here, here. And this is zoomed in. But if you looked at this with your own eyes, you wouldn't see this space between though between this apparent horizon and this opaque horizon, it would be compressed together, and you would see the sun going below the Earth because that's your programming.
Right. So do people say like, hey, if the Earth is flat, I should be able to see Europe from, the shores of the Atlantic Ocean?
I just showed you that with Mount Canigou, you can't see 175 miles. Right. And also, what object, even if you could see forever through the, it's like going in a 100-yard long swimming pool and expecting to be able to see the far wall through the perfectly clear water. You can't. Right. The air is the same thing.
Right. I know we're limited on time. There's a lot of things I wanted to ask, but one of the things that really, I guess I have a question about is, well, there's many things, but let me just talk about this real quickly. The waxing and waning of the moon. Why is it that's, we see a quarter moon or a half moon? Or what happens with the moon there on a flat Earth?
Yeah. So again, they tell us that it's the sun that is lighting up the moon. Well, I think it's the sun that's powering up the moon. The sun is more physical in nature. Here's on the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The sun goes around once every 24 hours. Wherever the sun is, it's noon. Well, it's going a little faster than the moon, and it will lap the moon every 28 days. So you see right now the moon is waning, and a few more times around, and it'll catch up, and there'll be a new moon. So the moon and its position keeps track of the weeks and the months. The sun keeps track of the days, the hours and the days. But you see the moon is about to disappear. And then it'll disappear and it'll pass the sun. The reason the sun is not on the hour hand right now is because we're in fake daylight savings time. And that's just to throw our body clocks off and to keep us literally, off center, spinning out of control, lost in space, not knowing where we are. We are part of this Earth system. Here's the moon. It's waxing and it's moving away. And the moon also migrates in between the tropics every 28 days. The sun does it every year. So that's that. Go ahead.
I've heard Dean Murphy 25 say that the moon is actually cooling, or Eric Dubay said that the moon is a cooling kind of light. Is that true?
100%. And people say that I can't even fathom that. If you magnify moonlight, it gets super cold. It gets colder. So again, there's a lot of people doing these experiments, but they're doing them wrong. Like they'll put a cover over the ground to make a shadow, and then they'll measure it. Well, to me, that's insulating the ground. That's not fair. A lot of false positives. But if you do it correctly, it is significantly cooler in moonlight. The moon, the sun puts out a fire. The moon revs up a fire. It's crazy. The moonlight will rot meat, and the sun will purify meat. Okay, so again, here's something we know about the moon. It's the biggest mystery of all. It is insanely mysterious. And in the app here, let me just show you real quick. The stars rotate around slightly faster than the sun. They lap the sun once a year. Okay. So right now the sun is moving into Cancer, and then in about a month, it'll move into Leo. I guess it's Leo. And that's how it's in the tropics. So right now, if you look, the sun is over this inner yellow line here. That's the Tropic of Cancer. Well, it's in the Tropic of Cancer. Over here is the Tropic of Capricorn. And if I jump the sun 6 months, 4, 5, 6, whoops, I hit the wrong thing. If I jump the sun, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, now the sun is in the Tropic of Capricorn over this yellow line, the Tropic of Capricorn. That's how the seasons work. The stars keep track of the seasons and the years. Here's the thing. If we were corkscrewing through space, how do the stars reset every year? They always reset to the exact same position. When we're traveling billions of miles a year, corkscrewing through space, it's all nonsense. Matter of fact, today's featured video is all about that. A guy did an experiment showing how the motion of the stars proved that the Earth is stationary and that the heavens circle around above us. Here's the challenge I have for your... Go ahead.
Okay. No, go ahead. Finish
real quick, and then I'll get out of the app. The challenge I have for your listeners, I'm offering 2 Bitcoins for anyone that can give me 1 proof of the globe. But first, you have to watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks. I usually do short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekends. And then if you have a question, you have to click this question mark, which brings you to the frequently asked questions. Hey, what about gravity? What about eclipses? Like if I click what about eclipses, up comes a playlist that Google and YouTube are hiding from you. These videos will show you tons of information about the eclipse, tons of information. And these 2 right here, the 2 at the top right now, those are the experiment I did showing a projected sun into our reality, the question that you asked earlier. And it shows you, and it recreated exactly what we see. And it'll blow your mind. So there you go.
Right. I wanted to ask you a question about something. I've only seen one person ever bring this up, and it kind of lends support to the flat Earth theory. But if you could imagine, I kind of have to. I'm sorry, I don't have like globes right now, but if I have like my fist, right?
Yeah.
If you could kind of look at me, Dave, for a second. Right. So you have, let's say you have the sun is right here in the middle, and you have the Earth going around the sun. So when you're here, if you're facing the sun, let's say June 21st, right here, it's noon for this part of the planet. But when it goes all the way across over here, now it's midnight. So the times would always have to keep changing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they explain that as a sidereal day where the sun is rotating, minutes slower. That way, 6 months later, the time is changed by 12 hours. Okay. But the problem that causes is right here. If you're on we'll call this the equator. And if you're looking up, it's 12 noon. The sun's right there. You can't see any stars because the sun is lighting up the whole sky. Someone over here at midnight looks up and sees stars. Okay. And they see this star. 6 months later, midnight's over here. How can a person look out here and see this star?
That's a great point, and that's something that I was wrestling with too. And I'm glad you brought that up. But why? Also, I get people in the comments, and I get people that I know that fly, and they say they've looked down when they're flying, whether they were 20, 30, or 40,000 feet or higher, and they say they see the curvature of the Earth. Why do they say things like that?
Well, for one, Neil deGrasse Tyson now has moved. It says you can't see the curvature of the Earth at 127,000 feet. Okay. I don't think any planes fly that high because he had to move the globe post because we are exposing that you can see far. But it's all, again, like the tables. You see a certain distance, whether it's 10 miles or 100 miles, I don't care. Same distance where the sky will merge onto the land. And that's the distance you see in all directions. So you see the same distance in all directions, right? So someone standing here, this is the limit of their vision, limit of their vision, limit of their vision. Draw a line across there. You see curvature. No, you don't see curvature. It's all perception. This is just the limit of your vision. Because the sky is higher, you can see farther. This is as far as you can see. And you think this is curvature of a ball, but it's not. And here's the thing. If you're on an airplane at 39,000 feet, according to Globe Math, the horizon's 242 miles away. A 6 foot tall person standing at the water's edge, the horizon's only 3 miles away. 39,000 feet, 242 miles away. That would be so the airplane. Wait, I'm sorry. The airplane's at 39,000 feet. The drop would be 39,050 feet. Just a coincidence. So the horizon should be 78,000 feet below you. 78,000 feet below you, right? But when next time you're in an airplane, look out the side window and then look out the other side window, and you'll see the horizon. If the plane's flying straight level, not turning, you'll see the horizon. Draw an imaginary line, and it goes right through your eyes, okay? Don't tell me that horizon that you're seeing 242 miles that way and 242 miles that way. That's 384 miles. No, 484 miles apart. 78,000 feet below you looks like it's eye level. It's at eye level because the Earth is flat. There is no curvature, period.
Yeah, I was just in a plane and I was looking out, and I'm wondering why I'm seeing so far in the distance like that. Like, I remember, there's another thing. When I would often fly to Thailand from New York, we'd stop in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. And the first time that happened, why are we all the way up in Alaska? I don't get that. It's so far north. And then we have to go all the way back down, closer to the equator. It didn't make any sense. But when I watched that interview with D. Murphy 25, and you see the Earth on a flat Earth map, it makes more sense because you're going almost like in a straight line. And sometimes I try to explain it to people, but they say, well, if it's, the Earth is a globe and that's actually the closest distance to fly over Alaska. What is your response to that?
Yeah. So here, trying to go from Perth to Buenos Aires, FlightAware says this is the shortest distance. Okay. But because of the Antarctic Treaty, we're not allowed to fly over Antarctica. It's too dangerous. They couldn't rescue anybody there. All right, so just fly around Antarctica. This would be the shortest route, or possibly this way, around the outside. Right? That's the route that that would be the shortest route on a globe. Okay. But if you look at the actual path that the flights go, they go from Buenos Aires to Miami, to either Miami or Houston. Then they stop in LA. Then they stop in Sydney. Then they go over here. It takes like 26 hours. Or if they go this way, depending on the flight route, they can stop in Europe and Singapore and Perth. Why don't they just jump over and pop up over here? Because that's magic. Doesn't happen. It's something that doesn't exist, right? If you look at trying to go from Buenos Aires to Cape Town, this is the shortest route right here. Okay, 4,276 miles. Take about 9 hours, maybe, right? But this is the actual route. They go all the way up to Amsterdam and then all the way back down. That's crazy. 29 hours. There's some layover time in there. But why don't they just pop across the ocean? Because it's too far away. It doesn't work. And this stuff is provable. If you want to prove that the Earth is a ball, if science is going crazy on us. They'll never talk to us. They'll always straw man argue us. But here's the simplest path, the simplest thing you can do. This is 13,000 miles in circumference, they tell us, right? Get 2 airplanes, go here, put a bunch of flat earthers, scientists, teachers on one, and then have it fly at about 1,000 feet, just following the shoreline, just off the shoreline, and you go all the way around. Do another one going this way, and we just watch the shoreline. And 7, 8, 9 hours later, you should meet over here, right? 7,000 miles away, 6,500 miles away. But they can't, because that's not the way the world's set up. I know we're kind of limited on time here. We only have maybe a few minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes left. But talk about the UN treaty that was signed, was it in 1949 or something, for the UN? Talk about that. The last thing is, the last person that tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, it took him 3.5 years. It was Captain Cook. He went over 60,000 miles. Okay. That doesn't work on a globe. It makes perfect sense on a flat stationary.
Well, I understand how circumnavigation works on the flat Earth, but wouldn't you have to continually curve? Like any plane or ship would not go in, if you're going in a straight line, no matter where you're going, you're going to hit Antarctic eventually on a flat
every straight line will hit Antarctica. So,
because every direction you go away from north to south, in a sense. But if you're going to circumnavigate, right, the flat Earth, don't you have to continually kind of be curving, going in a curved path?
Right. So this is a ship, Dead Reckoning West. Well, Dead Reckoning West is a circle because the needle always has to point towards the center, the magnetic center. So this person driving the ship or plane thinks they're going in a straight line because they're following their compass. Okay. If I put you on a racetrack 1,000 miles around, right, you would think you were driving straight the entire time. You would never realize that you're turning, right? Well, these are bigger than 1,000-mile circles, right? And now if I try to dead reckon straight, boom, I'm going south, I'll hit Antarctica, right? If I don't correct to the north, look, the compass just turned, I'm heading south.
Okay, I got you there.
Okay.
All right, but just talk about the UN. I want to talk about the UN. I want to talk about space a little bit in the NASA cover-up.
So NASA is not a space agency. So in 1959, first they had Operation High Jump, where they started discovering Antarctica in the 1940s. Then they had Operation Deep Freeze, where they discovered something. I think they discovered the firmament. Then they created NASA to hide it. Hello, we're taking over all attempts to go above, as high as we can reach. And then as you mentioned, Admiral Byrd went out and said, hey, we found more land bigger than the United States, filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon. Meanwhile, all the countries are fighting for resources, and they all sign on a treaty saying no one's allowed to go there. You can't even question this treaty until the year 2041.
And isn't that still, it's like the only treaty that's ever been upheld by all the nations?
Yeah. Yeah. And all of these nations have signed on now. A dozen signed on right away, and then everyone signed on after that. And this was the takeover of our world. It happened in the early 1900s. Okay.
And the map of, the logo of the UN is the flat Earth map, right?
Yeah. It's the logo of all the main, the entities that control the world all have the flat Earth, have the flat Earth on it. And it's right in our faces, but people, no matter what you show them, some people will never see.
Okay. So I want to focus a little bit on the NASA cover up. So I have seen the videos where people have exposed that these so-called astronauts are on harnesses and that there's CGI going on.
Yeah.
Here, go ahead.
This is Chris Hadfield. There's one they're like, oh, we'll show we'll get the people. They'll be upside down. Everyone think it's so cool. He's singing, right? These two are in different rooms, and this guy holding a microphone misplaces where Chris is supposed to be and sticks the microphone right in his neck. NASA took this video down. We got it. Okay, in his neck. And you can't say, oh, that's an artifact, cosmic rays. Nonsense.
But do you have any showing the harnesses?
Oh yeah, they're let me find that. So lots of times they have guys floating around in the background, and one time these guys were just flipping their hat, their microphone and their hat around. This guy floats by. I zoomed in on him. You could barely see him. He's way down the hallway. You can see his harness. You can see the wire. It's ridiculous. Okay, and then the Globers will go, it's for safety. They're on a wire for what? They're in a 0G, situation, and these guys, they're always also tilting their head. No matter what way they are, the human body tends to try to straighten your head up, right? I don't think people can survive in 0G for extended periods of time. Your digestive system wouldn't work. Your vestibular system in your ear wouldn't work. Again, if you catch NASA faking it once, you can unwind it too. We never went to the moon, and they're full of it. Okay, they just got some fresh lemons, and they're playing with it. And watch. That is a virtual reality lemon. It's not real.
Right.
Not real.
So I have a few more questions. One of the things that really shocked me in the D. Murphy interview he did, the original one that I saw, that really opened my eyes to the flat Earth, is he said that the whole space shuttle crew is still alive. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that was that's called trauma-based mind control.
The Space Shuttle Challenger.
The Challenger. That's where they brought the television into every schoolroom. This was a way of them kicking the can down the road farther for not having civilians in space and to traumatize children. But why would they want to traumatize children? This is all about mind control, making people live in fear and not realize their true potential. Right? If you're lost out of control, spinning out of control in space, and you think that there's a million things that are going to kill you, you're never going to evolve to your full potential. We found 6 of the 7. They all work at universities. This guy had a corporation. It was something like flying cows, and the animation on the front of their website was a cow that's taking off like a rocket, and it did a loop-de-loop, and it made the same path, the same thing that we saw in the Challenger. And then when we pointed that out, the website disappeared. But they all claim that these are their identical twins, that they're identical twins to their astronauts, brothers or sisters. And they sound the same. They look the same. They have the same birth dates. There's no record of them having twins if you try to look it up in the Social Security Index. And none of them showed up at their siblings' funerals. So
that to me is one of the most absolutely amazing things, because the Challenger incident happened when I was in 8th grade. I believe it was 1986. And I remember how the TVs would just show the explosion over and over and over, and how we all felt. Because there was, I think, was it Kristen McAuliffe was on that flight?
Kristen McAuliffe, right here.
Right
there.
Yeah, that's her. So this was a teacher. They're supposed to be the first teacher to go up in space.
Yep.
And so
he's now a Yale professor, I think.
I think this is very jarring to people to see this, and especially with the photos. But so you're saying these people are still alive now? Their families, their friends. I mean, how does that work? I mean, because
I don't know. Like there will be a whistleblower. There are whistleblowers all the time. We just don't hear of them. I don't know their family situation. Maybe they have very small families. Maybe they're all controlled. Maybe they're all part of CIA. I don't know. I can speculate all day long, but there's ways to control people where they'll never talk, not even on their deathbed. But people occasionally do talk. There was a Polish astronaut a couple of years ago, or not that long ago, who was on a show, and someone said, some people say the Earth is flat. What do you think? And he was caught off guard. He goes, well, it's flat. I can assure you it's flat. Nobody's been to space. Okay. Yeah. And then we've never seen him again since then.
Yeah. Didn't Buzz Aldrin have an interview where he said to a little girl that we didn't go to space?
Yeah. So why haven't we been back? Why haven't we been back to the moon? Yeah. And he goes, because we never went there. Right.
Right. And then if you look at all the astronauts, the 3 astronauts that came back from the first moon mission, when they were doing a press conference, they look like they're attending a funeral. They look like they don't want to be there. And they just achieved this is it. The greatest achievement of mankind right here.
Yeah, they went to moon. They did all their stuff. They made it back. They should be pumped. People, well, they're tired. Well, they've been in quarantine for 3 weeks. They had a vacation, right? And these guys are being forced to lie. And look at this little Airfix model. This is nonsense. Okay, I mean, a third grader can do this. All right,
and wasn't their capsule or their ship that was made of I think Stanley Kubrick was part of this. And if you zoom in, you could see it was made of tinfoil, curtain rods, and tape.
Yeah, well, basically, it looked like it was ordered in a warehouse, an arts and crafts store. But what are the odds that a NASA advisor, NASA astronaut, science fiction author, Stanley Kubrick, and the senior administrator of Apollo would be photographed together just before, in Hollywood, just before the NASA mission?
Right.
Yeah, and just a coincidence, right?
To me, it doesn't make sense because the computer technology of the 60s, our phones are more powerful than their most powerful computers in the 60s. And yet they went to space in this thing, and they had a little car that they took out and drove around in it. And where did they go to the bathroom? And where did they get water? And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Now, why would...
They went in this thing. I mean, you zoom in on the app under the photo section. I have a high res of this that you can zoom in and just look. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. If fifth graders made this as a project, they'd probably get a D. Okay.
So let me ask you this, right? If all the nations signed on this UN treaty not to go to the Antarctic, and they kind of knew that the Earth is flat, or there's a firmament and there really is no space, because that's what the flat Earth model is saying. Basically, there's no space. Why would NASA need to do this? Because I thought this was to assert superiority in the Cold War, to show our enemies, hey, look at our technology, don't mess with us.
How many people died in the Cold War?
0.
Right, because it was fake. All of this is fake. They divided us, right? Because we are powerful beings just by ourselves, but 2 of us together are more powerful. 10 of us together, they're exponentially powerful. Put us all together, we can change this entire world. Right now, they're dividing us. They divided us by countries. They divided us by religions, race, sexes. They divided us by anti this or pro this, right? They're dividing because they know if we're dividing and fighting each other, moon landing was real, moon landing was fake, right? They divide us all of the every way possible to keep us divided. That's what it's all about. I mean, look at this guy, right? Joe Rogan. There's no way that we went to the moon. Then he got a TV deal, a ton of money, and he had Neil deGrasse Tyson on, and he's like, there's no way it was a hoax. Okay. This is how they control people. He's controlled.
Yeah, I've watched Joe Rogan, and I know he has a guy named, Eddie Bravo?
Yeah, Eddie's a great guy.
Yeah, I love Eddie Bravo.
Yeah.
And so this is Joe Rogan's supposed best friend.
Yeah.
And yet there was a show, you could watch it still on YouTube, where Brendan Schaub, another guy, and Joe Rogan are ganging up on Eddie Bravo when Eddie Bravo is trying to drop knowledge about the flat Earth.
Right.
They're just cutting him off at every turn.
Yeah, that's the only thing they do is cut us off or not talk to us and just put out their strawman videos. If you Google flat Earth, you're going to end up with their propaganda videos, right? You're not going to find stuff. You're not going to find me that easily. I'm actually on so many channels. I kind of broke the algorithm, but you're not going to find good stuff. And that's why I created the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The app will lead you to all of the good information. It'll show you, you click the frequently asked questions. Check it out. It's in the Apple App Store, and it's in the Google Play Store. You need an iPhone 6 or better, or an 8.0 Android phone or better. Works on iPads too. But just go read the reviews. Read the reviews of the app, and you'll become a flat earther.
Yeah, and send me any links you want me to put in my description so people could, link to your website.
You got it. We got to wrap up, and maybe we can do part 2 if you want. Just a couple things I want to say is I have a team of government trolls that will follow me to your channel and will comment on everyone's comments, and they will say stupid things. But if you go look at their channels, they're empty channels, and they never offer a single proof of the globe. Nothing. They're just going to be there to suck energy and to make people just go, oh, this is ridiculous, and it's effective. It's effective. So watch out for them. And where else? Well, I was going to say something else. Now I forgot. What'd you ask me? Did you ask me a question?
Well, I guess my
final got me with question, a Ray.
I guess we can get in for a second here is that a lot of people want to know, if it is a flat Earth, why don't you just tell us it's a flat Earth? Like why cover it up?
Good answer. And that's what you're talking about with NASA. The reason NASA was made was to make people think they live on a spinning ball, because they don't want us to know that there's more land. They don't want us to know that there's infinite resources, infinite water. They don't want us to know that there is a creator. They don't want us to take back our power and unite. Imagine if everyone said, you know what? I'm not listening to the government anymore. Okay. Well, that would be over. They'd be finished. They'd be nothing. We wouldn't even know who they were because nobody would be paying attention to them. The only control people have over you is in your imagination. Okay. Nobody has dominion over you. They don't want you to know that you are at the center of creation, that you are important, that you are powerful. Everything you have in your life is because of the way that you think. But if you watch the news and believe the nonsense, you're not going to manifest your life the way you want it. You're going to manifest it the way they want it. You're going to remain a slave. They can't put they found that if you make somebody a slave and with chains and bars, they don't cooperate. But if you put them in an invisible prison, and that's the globe, a prison for your mind, then they're happy. They're like, oh, I got it. I'm successful. I got a nice car, and I only have to work, 50 hours a week, and then I could drink beer and watch the sports teams and get out all my aggressions, because then I'll feel I'm winning. My team won. I've won. Right? They know that the human body, the human mind needs that. So they've given us bread and circuses with sports, and they've done all of this. And if you haven't noticed, the world is completely going into tyranny right now. Okay, tyranny. And if we by chance somehow have an opportunity to take back our freedom, how long will we keep it if our minds are spinning out of control, lost in space, not knowing who we are, not knowing that we are powerful beings, and believing in authority?
Right. I just got to ask this. Maybe you can answer it in like 30 seconds, but Elon Musk, some people think he's a brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you for asking for that. You're actually getting an automated email from me. And one of the links in there is Elon Musk fraud. 5-minute video. Watch it, and you will lose all respect for Elon Musk. He controls no companies. He is a Muppet. That's all he is. He doesn't run Tesla. He doesn't run the Solar City. He doesn't run anything. He is a Muppet. Watch the video. 5 minutes. Mind blown.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave, I appreciate all your time. I know you got another interview. So just tell us briefly where people could find you.
The best place to learn about Flat Earth is my app. It's $2.99, one-time fee. That's it. There is a pop-up that will pop up and ask you if you want to subscribe for 99 cents. You do not have to. You can, but you do not have to. You exit out. There's no wait period. There's no ads. There's no nothing. It only shows up once every 24 hours. Piece of cake. Sometimes it doesn't even show up the second day. And you still get everything. It's less than a beer, and you don't pee it away in 20 minutes. And just read the reviews. If you're concerned about paying $3 for an app, just read the reviews and you'll become a flat earther, and then you'll want the app anyway. Those of you that have the app, share it with your family and friends. Nothing better than turning your family and friends or loved ones into a flat earther. And, I believe that flat earth is the key to our future, to our freedom, right? If we take over the world, we get our power back. There's people here that know the true power of this world. They know the occulted ways. They know how this world works, and they're gonna steal it back. But if we wake up, this is the most important topic. This is more important than the thing that's going on that cannot be named on this on this platform. This is more important because everything, people say flat earth is a distraction from real truth seeking. The opposite is true. All of the nonsense in the world is a distraction from you figuring out who you are, where you are, and the power that you have.
No, I agree with that. And I hear people say, oh, if the world is flat, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't change my life.
It changes your life incredibly, right? I had my own company. I was making more money than I ever thought I could make. I walked away from it all to do this because this matters. Money, none of that matters, right? What do you mean money matters? I need to pay my rent. Sure, we're living in this world where we're using their money. We need our money. If you know what I'm talking about, our money's coming if people wake up, okay? Not their money, our money.
Right, so this is what you do full time?
This is it, full time. I talk to people like you. The way I can do it is people buy this app. People love the app. People are saying the app, I should have charged $50 for the app, okay? It's the highest rated app in the App Store, the highest rated app in the Google Play Store. People love it, okay? And Google and YouTube and Apple, they don't promote it because they don't, somehow they're letting it still stay in there. But one day it might be gone. Who knows? But tyranny is upon us, and it's up to us to take it back. All of this nonsense could end. I don't even want to say tomorrow. It could end today if everyone would just wake the F up.
Okay. And is there a website that you have?
TheFlatEarthPodcast.com, Facebook page, TheFlatEarthPodcast.com, Instagram, same name, TheFlatEarthPodcast.com. My YouTube channel, all short videos, mostly short videos. It's just the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. And check it out. What's that? Where
did you say people could find that Elon Musk video?
You're going to link it in the description, and you already have an email from me with my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, my all the other socials, and then 2 videos. One that we didn't talk about, which was I interviewed a woman named Ruth, 102 years old, back in February of 2020, and I was interviewing her about the World's Fair. And I wasn't even about flat Earth. And she had such a great memory, 102 years old. I said, where'd you go to school? She knew the name of the school, the teachers, the street, the kids in her class. I said, what did they teach you in science about the Earth? She goes, they taught me the Earth was flat. This is in the 1920s. They were teaching flat Earth in public schools in the United States. Okay. They were teaching flat Earth all across the world. We found a woman from Croatia in the 1930s. All the schools were teaching for flat Earth. And this is when the takeover happened. Wars, depression, and they literally stole our history from us, and they reset everyone's memory.
I saw you say this in a past interview, and it really surprised me because I didn't think they were teaching flat Earth in schools as recently as 1920.
We found newspaper articles from the New York Journal, which is now the New York Times, from 1900. In April of 1900 was one of the articles. And basically it's talking about teachers being persecuted for trying to teach heliocentrism. Okay? So our history is a lie. If it goes beyond where you were born, or somebody that you know that's alive today was born, you don't know the true history, right? Ruth is still alive. And I said to everybody, find old people, find people that have their wits and interview them. And then bam, COVIDs happen. And nobody can get into any nursing homes.
Well, we got plenty of nursing homes here. Maybe talk to a few people, but
right. Well, Ruth, wait a minute. By the way, Ruth is right near you. She's in Boca.
Okay. Well, she looks great for 102. She looks like
she's 103 like now. She's 103, and she's looking forward to 104.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, anyway, if you ever come down to Florida, let me know. We'll get together.
I will. Thank you so much.
You do come down sometimes, don't you?
I used to. My mother passed away during this alone because she couldn't be visited even in hospice, which is a whole nother nightmare. But we don't want to get into that on this platform because then we lose the video.
I'm sorry to hear about that, Dave.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. And this has been a fascinating interview. And guys, the guys are people that are watching my channel. If you want to see part 2 of this, because there's a lot of questions I didn't get to, let me know in the comments.
All right.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks.
That was an insane interview. I think one of the best I've ever done. Let me know in the comment section if you want to see a part 2, because there were so many questions I did not get to ask. And let me know what you thought of Dave's argument. Are you in agreement with him, or do you think he's totally crazy? Because, I mean, it seems like in this world, there's always 2 sides and then there's the middle. And right now, I think I'm somewhere in the middle and I'm going back and forth. But man, he makes some great arguments. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching until the end. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see everyone in the next video.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face. Or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth, and clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.